Shalom, back at it again. We out here in the highways and the byways. We'd like to give all praise and glory to Yahweh,
Bahashem, Yahushua.
Double honors to the apostles that rule well. And basically what we're going to do today, man, we're going to go through the Spirit of the Lord. We're going to talk about, what happened in the 16th century, in the 17th century. And that topic is slavery. That's what we're going to talk about, okay? And through the Spirit, we're going to cover as much information as we can, because this information got to keep being brought out, because slavery is really the reason on why our people are in the shit that they are in today. So we have to bring this information out, okay? And what we're also going to do, we're going to bring out the scriptures as always, okay? And that's how we're going to do it. You understand? Because the scripture says, man, we have to uncover the skirt, okay, of Babylon, or the rulers that be of the society. And we will cover this today. Like you got a lot of people out there, even amongst our own people, they'll say, you got to forget about slavery and you got to forget about this and that and the third. No, we're not going to forget about it. We're going to talk about it today, okay? Because the reason why our people are in this shit today, it's because the effects of what happened throughout their generations, okay? And obviously it's all prophecy, because the scripture says that this would happen to the Israelites in a lot of days. But we still gonna have to go into it, man. Just to edify the situation, okay? So I'll tell you what, brothers. Start. Matter of fact, I'll start reading this right here. It says the Atlantic slave trade before the 16th century. Slavery was not regarded by anyone outside or inside Africa as a particular African institution. The association between Africa and slavery emerged in the 15th century. Now they have here Africans, right? Because the people that was in Africa, that was enslaved in there, were Israelites. Okay, they were the Jews, and we can get that in Bible prophecy. Okay, and if you can, brother, get the Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, you know what you want to get. Yeah, read that. Yeah, read 64.
Deuteronomy 28 verse 64, and it says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other.
Right, and that's exactly what the slave dispersion cost, the slave diaspora cost amongst our people. Okay, you had the ones of us that was in slavery amongst those Arabs, and they had to go to the Eastern Hemisphere. And then you had the ones of us that had to go to the New World, which is the Americas. Okay? So that prophecy right there came into an existence. Moses told the children of Israel, look, this is what's going to go down because of your sins. All right, but guess what? Just because we're in the shit because of our sins, that don't mean that them other nations that did what they did to us are going to get away scot-free. Because they're going to have to pay, okay, one day. And that one day is right around the corner. And we're going to go into what the payment is going to be. That's what we're going to go into. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep reading this. Is there any more now? Because I didn't let you read the whole thing.
From one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
And that's what happened to our people. You had the ones of our people, they were scattered into India. Some of them were scattered into the world of the different worlds where the Arabs were. Okay, and based on them being scattered there, they became Muslims. Okay, some of them became Roman Catholics because some of them were shipped up to Portugal, and etc. All right, and they were beaten down to accept the religion of the heathen. Okay, they were beaten and broken down to accept the world that they were under. Okay, and that's what went down, man. So we're gonna touch on something that happened in the 17th to the 18th century, because it still has an effect today. And the same thing is going on time and time. So we're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna just close the book of what happened to our people. We're gonna keep talking about it. Okay? until the Lord, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, gives us the just due. So keep going, if you finish on that.
Verse 65, and it says, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease.
Right, and amongst these other nations shalt thou find no ease. Even when you deal with the Dalits over there in India, the untouchables, when you deal with those people down there, they're not finding it easy living in India. Now they may look like Indians, but they're Israelites. Okay, and they gotta work tooth and nail to just survive out there, man. Just like how Jake gotta work tooth and nail to survive where he's at. Okay, in America or the United Kingdom. So amongst these other nations, you're not gonna find no ease. So read that verse again.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease,
Right?
neither shall thy sole of thy foot have rest,
Right?
but Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart.
Right, but Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart. So when we got to the shores of whatever country we got to, we was trembling up high because we didn't have nothing in return. They stole us from whatever they stole us from. Okay, shook us up from one area to the next area. All right, and then pay us a dime. All right, and we was in shit. So although this happened to the Israelites, but guess what? The other nations that did that, they're gonna have to pay the piper, and the payment is going to be the nuclear war, which we're going to get later on in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. All right, because the main reason why World War III is going to erupt and happen is because of what was done to the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, so-called Latinos, Native American Indians. That's the reason why this nuclear war is going to start happening. All right, and that's the best kept secret of the world. But guess what? We were the only ones that were able to get we were the only ones that were able to get that revelation on that, or to receive such a mystery. Okay, so I think you're done on that, right? If there's any more, go on.
And it says, and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
Right, and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. Okay, because like I said, when we got to the shores of where we got to, we didn't have nothing to lean back on. We didn't have nothing to really hold ourselves together. And the scriptures even says that there'll be no might found in thine hand. Okay, which the word hand in the scriptures means power again. So we wouldn't have no power in our hands. So these other nations, they will be able to infiltrate our people and put them on cargo slave ships that the Arabs built. Okay, and then ship them from Portugal, ship them from Brazil, ship them from England, and all of these different areas. All right, and it kept going on for 2 centuries. It started in the 15th century, and it ended in the mid 18th century. And this is the history of Europe, the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, where human beings were lynched on trees. All right, they were forced to work on the fields in Jamaica, in the West Indian Islands, for sugar cane. Okay, the sugar plantation, and they were brutalized in those areas too at the same time. All right, so guess what? All of them other nations, they're gonna receive that payment, but we're gonna keep reading this stuff. Go on, brother.
Verse 66, and it says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night.
Right, and thou shalt fear day and night. And that's like right now. Our people, they fear day and night, man, to survive out here, whether they gonna eat the next day. Okay, or even prior to when we even got here, man. Okay, when we was about to get in these shorts, we was fearing. Because we didn't know what to do, man. We didn't know what was gonna come after that. All right, but sure enough, around the early 20th century, the early 1900s, okay, people were being lynched. People were being lynched and burned at the same time. Okay, and this is what Esau, the so-called white man, did to our people in America. And then when you go over to the Western Islands, what they used to do is they used to actually bind the guy up, right? bind him up to this thing and make him lean against his wrist. Just have him leaning there like that. There's so much information on this, man. Okay? But hey, the Most High made that go down because of what? Because of the ills that we've done. So if we're the chosen people of the Most High, and that happened to our people, then how much more is going to happen to these other nations? Okay? Because these other nations, they're not getting up scot-free. So go on, brother. If there's any more now.
And shall have none assurance of their life.
Yep.
In the morning thou shalt say, would it the Most High it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would the Most High it were morning.
And that's what Jake says right now, even to this very day. Jake be talking about, man, like in those urban inner city areas. You know, Jake be thinking like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna live to the next day or the next hour. You know, I might get shot. I might be out, my family members or my peoples. I might get shot. All right, and this is what Jake is going to do in America and also in the interiors of Africa too. All right, and that's how about it is with Jake. But guess what? The Lord is going to gradually lift those curses off our people. All right, but this all goes back because of the transgressions. The heavy transgressions. So is there any more?
For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
Right, and the fear in the sight of thine eyes that shall see. Okay, like for example, in those same times, in those same days, what they used to do is they used to, for example, you get the term buck breaking. Okay, where they would actually get, one of the biggest slaves ever, and break them down in front of other slaves, and that would put the other slaves in fear to be insubordinate. Okay, to be subordinate and to be subjugated under the rule of these devils. Okay, and these devils, they benefited heavy. They made a lot of money, and guess what? Our people suffered greatly because of the effects of what happened centuries ago. All right, but yet people want to say, oh, you got to forget about it. We're not going to forget about it. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it until we get our just due. Until Yahweh Shai comes in. All right? So that's it on that, man. I'm going to read this. It says, before the 16th century, matter of fact, I've already read that already. It says, it was then that ship design made possible for sailors from the Mediterranean to make long journeys down the coast of Africa untimely, across the Atlantic into the Americas. By the time the slaves reached the coast, they had already undertaken a long journey from inland. They were often bought and sold several times. Along the way, many of these transactions were conducted in the marketplaces, and this was even going on in Ghana. Okay, they would put them on auction blocks in Ghana and sell them.
Yeah.
That's what they used to do.
Yeah.
So not only was it going on in America, but it was also going on in Ghana, where the Europeans, they would sell the slaves, and the Portuguese, and them so-called Jews, they were the traders. Because you had British Jewish traders that was actually benefiting off slavery more often. And that's why them so-called Jews, they're in a high position. Because that old money goes all the way back to slavery.
They called it the slave coast.
What's that, brother?
They called it the slave coast.
Right.
And because there's a door.
Come around, brother, talk about it.
I don't know much. I'm not saying much, but I'm saying.
Okay.
In Ghana, there's like a door where the slaves came through to go to the ships.
Mm-hmm.
And they would call it the passage of no return.
Come on.
You know, meaning when you leave that door, you're never coming back.
Come on.
You're going straight to the slave plantation.
And that's what you had. Okay, that's what you had. You know, you had our people, they were trapped in those prisons in Ghana, and they were shipped out of those prison houses to go toss into those ships. They would toss them into the ships to go into the other world. That's what they would do. And the people that was involved in it was obviously the Arabs. Okay, them Scamalakites was involved in it, and the indigenous Africans as well, which are a different dark race of people from our people. Because the people that they were selling were the Israelites. And we are the Israelites that they sold on them cargo slave ships, man. All right? So like I said, we're going to keep talking about slavery. We're not going to just let it alone and not deal with the situation. We're going to talk about it. We're going to deal with it. Go on, brother.
It's at Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and it says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So in that time period, when we was in Israel, we could have just walked to Egypt. We didn't have to go on a ship to go down there. So what is this talking about? This is talking about the transatlantic slave trade. All right, from Nigeria to Ghana, okay, to Congo, you'll be shipped off to east to west. Because it wasn't just from the Western Hemisphere. You even had Israelites being in slavery in the Eastern Hemisphere, all the way up to where them Arabs were too. And that's why you got some of them there in India today. Some of them there in Iraq. Some of them are in, let me see that. I even believe that you got some of them in Syria too. So all of these other nations, they have to pay. They're going to have to pay the piper. Real soon. Real soon, man. Okay, go on, brother.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again,
right.
And there it shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen.
You shall be not sold unto your friends or your mates, but sold unto your enemies. So who is the enemy to the so-called Negro, or the so-called Hispanic, the so-called Latino, the so-called white man? So you will be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen. Slave men and slave women. That's what would happen. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to continue to read this. It says, by the time the slaves reached the coast, they had already undertaken a long journey from inland, and they were often bought and sold several times along the way. And many of these transactions were conducted in the marketplaces. All right. And it says, the case study, the Salaga slave market. Salaga in northern Ghana was the site of a major slave market today. There are still descendants of the people who were slaves, and the historians is vivid in the people's minds. So the story is so vivid that the people, they remember it like it was yesterday. Okay, because when they went to Ghana, it was so bad that their ancestors told their younger ones about it. So they still remember it to this very day. And this is a big, and the reason why we have to talk about it, because not only is it a big thing that happened on the earth, but it's also Bible prophecy. That was one of the main prophecies that was going to befall us in these last days. So yeah, we have to keep talking about it. You know what I mean? You got these jackasses out here. They'll say, well, that was centuries ago. That was a long time ago. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you got to know history. You can't be walking around not knowing what happened to your people or what happened in the history. Because guess what? History has a way of repeating itself. So you have to know history. Go on, brother.
It's Ecclesiastes 3 and 15, and it says, that which have been is now.
Right, that which have been is now. Okay, so what you had back then, let's just say 1,000 years ago, you had things that happened 1,000 years ago, it's happening today. Okay? Just like prostitution. Prostitution was going on in the past, and it's going on today. And there's other things too, but I just brought that out as an example. So read that verse again.
That which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been.
Right.
And the Most High requireth that which is past.
And the Most High required that which is past. Just like in the ancient world, you had prophets. Guess what? You have prophets right now, and you're looking at them. So everything you had back in the past already comes back all over again. So if you're not if you're not into history, then you're just a damn fool walking around not knowing what the hell is going on. You don't know where you're going. Okay, you don't know your past, and you don't know where you're going in the future. So you're just a damn idiot. All right. You know, real men that's got sense will deal with history. Okay? So go on, bro.
Like you said, like you can't say slavery was, you know, a long time ago. But the Lord said, you know, it requires that which is past, man. So the iniquity of your forefathers, which they did whatever 100 years ago, you know, it's required. It's required now. What's that scripture, man? He that stealeth a man.
Yeah, he that's still a man.
To him, yeah.
Right, and he be found in his hand, he shall receive judgment.
Yeah,
He
the
will die to
punishment
death.
was thing, man, was death. Okay, so you know, the slaves are found in your hands now, man. You kill them and steal, man. So you know you're gonna have to pay that punishment of, you know, of stealing the man still.
That's right.
What's that? Isaiah 14.
I think that's
For the iniquity of their fathers.
Yeah. So, and that's just the whole thing. So we're going to keep talking about what happened to our people in slavery. We're going to keep talking about it. We're not going to just let it go. Oh, it's the past. It was centuries ago. Well, guess what? Hey, the Lord said he required that which is past. And guess what? If you take a nation of people and you destroy them for centuries on end, and then you release them out there to be free, they're still going to be messed up. They're going to destroy themselves. Okay? Because they weren't educated, they weren't taught how to deal. So you just release them out there, okay, with no education, with not what to do, not knowing how to conduct themselves, right? So I mean, Esau, man, Esau has to pay for this. And these other nations, they have to pay too. Because we can say, oh, Esau this and Esau that, but guess what? Ishmael was involved, and the Hamitic nations were involved in it too. Because the slave trade, they made loads of money on it. They made millions and millions of dollars.
I'm reading this article now.
All right, brother.
And it's basically going into how Britain, slavery, you know, it's basically going into how slavery in the Americas profited the British economy well. Like all the banks, like Barclays, was all founded off of slavery. Like, that's why they call it the triangle. Like, the slave traders from Liverpool and Bristol, they bartered with Africa, like basically our people, so-called West Africans, for slaves. Then they would bring those same slaves from England to West Africa to the Americas, the Caribbean islands. Sell them there, give them over there, and bring back any goods like sugar, tobacco, coffee, cotton, and bring it back to England again. So you
gunpowder too.
You know what I'm trying to say? So, the British economy during the 1830s boomed, man. It was a big thing, okay? Especially industrialism. The British industry boomed because of slavery, because of our reading. This is inherited privilege. The broad case for a slave-related stimulus to the British economy is very strong. So it says the British economy is slave-related, man. You know, for the condition of the British economy is slave-related. The reason why Britain is so great in the world, you know what I'm trying to say, and why people look up to Britain is because of us. Basically the work that we built up Egypt with our bare hands. And we've been in slavery for 400 plus years, going back to the mid 1600s. The reason why the British economy is so great is because of the backs of sweat and blood of our ancestors.
That's right.
Mainly overseas in the Americas. It says, and it has been further reinforced by a recent study.
And brother, speak a little bit louder too, man.
So it says, and it has been further reinforced by a recent study by academic Kenneth Pomerantz, which has again underscored the contribution of American land worked by enslaved people to British growth in the 18th and early 19th centuries. So British growth was because of the slaves that were working the American land. Okay? So that's Deuteronomy 28 and 48, I believe.
Yeah,
When it tells you how the eagle, another nation which thou understandest not.
You know, and this is the reason why we got to deal with the whole thing of slavery, because Britain really became great because of, like the brother was reading, because of the backs of our ancestors, and that's why Britain is so superior today. Okay, Britain didn't become superior based on its own works or its own growth. It became great because of what we put into this country. All right, like for example, we built the banks, all of that stuff, and we did other things to contribute to the building of the civilization. Okay, so if this society was built on the blood, on the blood, sweat, and tears of the so-called Negroes, then really what you can say is basically Britain has a lot of blood on its flag, and so does America too. It wasn't built by righteousness; it was really built by violence. You know, so that's what you can say. But there's a scripture on that too. But read what he quote for that.
It's Deuteronomy 28 or in 9, and it says, "And Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand."
Right, because Esau, so-called white race, their symbolic animal wasn't the fucking rhinoceros, man. The giraffe. It was an eagle. Okay? Whenever you look at Esau in the past or even presently, he always uses the eagle as as a representation of himself. The scripture says the Lord Yahweh, this is Moses speaking to the Israelites during the time, man, after he exited Egypt, after he came down.